off the box.
So we're here at the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference. It's day 2, and I'm joined by Frank. And Frank, the markets are interesting right now. It feels like I used the analogy on the stage yesterday that the market is a very fragile flower, and people should not step on it just yet. Like, what do you see happening? You look at the macro perspectives. I really appreciate your quant analysis there, and reading it every week, actually. So give us some more insight. What do you see happening in the markets?
Well, I'm happy you're reading it, and we could talk about PMI in this interview. But I think what I was trying to tell your readers and followers is that last year this time, we had good enthusiasm here. We had 6,000 people. And that energy is very, very important of people coming around and looking for speculative investments. The only other time I was finding that is at these blockchain crypto conferences, they're always packed with speculators.
Yeah.
And I've always pushed that it's better to be speculating here than going to a casino or buying lottery tickets, and to recognize that. And I think that there's good energy here, good energy last year, but it peaked in April.
Okay. Yeah.
And I comment about this because I write about global PMI, Purchasing Manufacturers Index, which is forward-looking and resets every month and is forward-looking for 6 months.
Yeah.
So you can do quantitative analysis of looking at 1 month over 3 months, under 3 months, above, around. You can create all these different types of ratios and see pivoting changes. GDP is behind us. We don't care about GDP. You and I, we compare to really be wary of what's the opportunity. So global PMI peaked in April. Trade wars started in April. Why are trade wars significant? 40% of global GDP behind us is China and America.
Yeah.
So when 40% of the world's doing this, all of a sudden it sets up a sentiment change, manufacturing starts slowing down, the demand for copper slows down, we saw oil crash, we saw copper, we saw a whole host of commodities unravel because of this. Now we've seen that China's now actually negative. You have to follow China's PMI in addition to global PMI because China's 50% of the world's commodity demand. Yeah. So they've gone below 50. Last time this happened in 2008, massive stimulation. So what did we see last week out of China?
Negative.
Massive stimulation.
Yeah.
Because their China PMI is reflecting big problems 6 months out, and they want to stop that. So I remain bullish that we're going to get a bottom over the next 3 months in PMIs, and I also feel that interest rates are going to peak between now and June.
Interesting, because that should be setting up a very nice sentiment for gold and the change in market momentum, obviously.
And I've been writing that gold is actually phenomenally strong last year. Yeah. When you look at real interest rates of the U.S. relative to Japanese yen or the euro, usually when there's such a differential, gold would have been 700.
It's been a while since that.
No, but 2008.
Yeah.
You know, it's remarkably resilient. So any thought of rates coming off, gold in a blink of an eye is 1,500.
Yeah, it's trying to break out right now, but it's just being held back, it seems.
It is, and I think it's very bullish and very constructive. Now, what's driving that, and why Sam Zell likes gold all of a sudden last week, and you've been reading about it, I've been talking about it, peak gold is here.
Yeah.
We did have peak oil in 2007 until the frackers came along. But there's no frackers coming in with gold.
No.
And only Superman can see through rock, and he has problems with lead. So the only big breakthrough that can be with exploration is using artificial intelligence, which is one of the companies called Goldspot we're speaking about. They have 7 PhDs in Montreal looking at all the data. But outside of that, AI, there's no real big innovation. So we have shrinking gold supply, but we have rising GDP per capita out of Chindia. What is Chindia? China, India affectionately is 40% of the world's population, and their demand and love for gold is highly correlated to their rising purchasing power. And that's what we have is bullish.
Interesting. I've walked the floor as well, and as you said, there's no new exploration, there are no new methods. I haven't even seen of the 300 companies, any new companies really. What do you see happening? Like, what does the market need to trigger that? Is that really the 1,500 gold price, so we actually do see a couple new companies here at the show?
I think you need streamlined regulations. I think regulations, as I pointed out, that if you look at Sarbanes-Oxley coming in almost 20 years ago, it's had a 50% drop in IPOs. 50%. And you see all the regulations here in Canada, all around the world, from fiduciary rule interpretation, is really hurting the small investor. And now in the U.S., that the Merrill Lynch's won't let you buy a stock under a $200 million market cap, no margin unless the stock's over $10. Well, that wipes out most of Vancouver. So the idea of speculating for new technology company and new this company, it really needs to be fostered with smarter regulations. So I think it's not just a rising commodity price, you have to have a change in getting it easier to tell the story.
Interesting. I gave a presentation where we at Oreninc, we tracked the financing overall, the overall financing situation in the markets, and flow through Save Canadians Bacon or Mining's Bacon last year. That was one of my comments I made yesterday.
For sure.
But you're US based. Do you get access to that, and how would you access? It's like, how do you see this? I thought this is a quite interesting angle.
No, it's there's none of that. But I do remain that there's a bullish sentiment for gold. More people are waking up. And the same thing with copper. There is a deficit with copper. So any turn in global economic growth, these little copper stocks like Copper Bank, you know, a 1% move in copper is usually a 4% move in Copper Bank. So if we get a 10% move in copper, I can make 40% in Copper Bank. So that's speculation. It's a $10 million market cap at 6 cents. So it's recognizing that I think is going to take place. But the only new company here that's really using technology, it's not even public yet, it's called Goldspot. So you're walking around looking at it, check it out because it's really impressive. All these young PhDs, and Montreal is the AI capital of Canada. It is so big that Microsoft is setting up a campus here and hiring 5,000 people.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay, so we're going to see some new discoveries coming out of that area then, obviously.
And what happens is that they really don't find the sweet spot immediately. They eliminate a lot of the crap.
That helps a lot.
So that saves a lot of money. So if there's less dollars to explore and that you're using AI, you're much better off because you're going to find sweeter spots. And Eric Sprott's involved with it, Rob McEwen's involved with it, they're all investing in it. Hochschild, the biggest company in Peru, they're investing in it, they're all using their services. So I think that's what we have to look at for change and exploration, and also bring in millennial investors.
That's true, and AI could probably be that gate. I was personally hoping it'd be the battery metals, but some of that has died down.
Right.
So AI might be the next big thing.
I think so.
Frank, much appreciated. Thanks for stopping by, and enjoy the rest of the show.
All right,
thank you so much.